Hello and welcome. You are watching the Beliefs module for Mental Wholeness, Foundations for Consistent Creativity and Connection. I'm so happy to have you here. If you're watching the replay, thank you. And if you're showing up live, thank you too. I know it's no small thing to invest your time in this way, and it means so much to me to share this space with you. I'm really excited to talk about beliefs today. I can remember when I first started learning about beliefs specifically about 5 years ago now. I came across an article on Mind, Body, Green or something like that. I was in corporate at the time, and I would, probably do a little bit too much online surfing at my corporate job, and I found Mind, Body, Green, and there was an article about beliefs, and it just really grabbed me, and I followed the trail in the internet to find the Lefko Institute, founded by Morty Lefko, and he has passed on now. But in case you want to start going down this wormhole yourself after today, that's a resource for you. I haven't even been to that website in a while, but I imagine that the content is still the same. His wife manages it now, but I remember being so impacted by, oh my goodness, my beliefs, and having a simple process to shift the beliefs that I didn't even realize were changing my life so profoundly. The ones that he focused on, I remember the one that really made a difference for me at the time was mistakes and failure are bad. That is a limiting belief. I am not enough. I am not important. Ooh, those things, it feels terrible to say, and those are limiting beliefs that we often carry with us. So we're talking about that today. We're talking all about how to find the limiting beliefs that are impacting you. We're talking about why beliefs form, how they form. We're going to be talking a lot about how to shift limiting beliefs into more empowering, supportive beliefs so that they can lift you up. What you're believing can lift you up instead of holding you down. It's really, really exciting stuff. And it's so important, in fact. You might remember from earlier course content in here that we focus a lot on the ABCs. Do you remember what the ABCs are? Feel free to type them in if you remember. The ABCs. I'll just tell you what they are. They are acceptance, body buzz, and clarity. Those are the three really powerful tools that you can always remember to go back to when things are starting to feel off. Usually just thinking about those three, they're the first three modules that we've already covered in here. It always helps me to shift, and we're adding beliefs right in there. It's the A's, B's, and C's now, okay? This is that important. This is that important. The A, B's, and C's are now acceptance, belief, body buzz, and clarity. Okay. Hey, Amanda. Oh, it's so good to see you here. The gang's back together. It's so good to be here live with you guys. Okay, so we are just diving in. And as always, if any questions come up, I anticipate that there might be a lot of questions because belief is a tricky subject. It's a really tricky subject, and it's a very difficult thing to feel the belief shift. I think one of the biggest things that holds us back from believing, like, we have to feel it in our body that the new belief we're choosing is true, as opposed to the old belief that was running without our awareness about it. Things like, I'm not enough, or mistakes and failure are bad, just to stick with the same examples I shared before. If you truly believe that on a core level, it takes some persistence to really believe, truly believe inside that the opposite is true. So Tell me if you have questions. Please put them in the comments. I am here for you. And if comments come up later when you're not watching this, just put them in the group. Post the questions in the group. My eyes are always in there. So I will be very happy to answer any questions that you have. So let's start with the definition of belief. And first I have a quote here that a belief is just a thought you keep thinking, by Abraham Hicks. She says that often. I guess they say that often would be the right pronoun there. A belief is just a thought you keep thinking. And I looked up the definition of belief in the dictionary, well, you know, on Google, because that's the new dictionary. And belief is an acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists. An acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists. And the second definition of belief is trust, faith, or confidence in something or someone. Trust, faith, or confidence in something or someone. When you believe in something or someone, you have trust, faith, and confidence in them. Trust is actually another module that we're going to be adding in a couple weeks. I forget the date off the top of my head, but I'll make sure to remind you in the group when we do trust. How funny that they're connected, even in definition. So, beliefs. Some other words that I think of when I think about beliefs are frames. Frames through which we see the world. They're perceptions. They are paradigms. Paradigm, I believe, is a fancy word for belief, or like a socially spread belief. Like a widely held belief is a paradigm, maybe. Another word that I write down when I think of belief is cage. Oh, our beliefs construct the cage that we live in. If we're not deliberately choosing empowering beliefs, because our beliefs determine our experience in the world. They just do. Our beliefs are the way that we organize and understand information. I like to think of beliefs as like code. So our bodies are our bodies are like computers. Our life is the screen of that computer where you can see what's going on. And the beliefs that we feed our body are like the code that goes into the computer and decides what's seen on the screen. At least beliefs are a big piece of that code. They are 100% responsible, definitely responsible for our perception of the world. And you know already from the work that you've done in here that perception is everything. Sometimes just trying on a new way of looking at something is enough to blow the situation wide open. So beliefs, they're such a powerful tool. And part of how this works is that our beliefs guide our actions. Okay, that's not the only way that it works, but it's a big way that it works, and it's like one of the most tangible ways to understand this, I think. Our beliefs determine our actions because we act in line with the way we believe our actions will, like the way we believe the results will turn out from the actions that we're taking. Gosh, that was a big jumbly sentence. Let me try again. We act according to our beliefs about what outcomes those actions will bring. Plain and simple. So, for instance, if I came into this time and space here with you today, believing that it was going to suck. Oh my God, nobody wants to be here with me. I don't even know anything about this. Why would anybody listen to me talking about this? Believing that I didn't have anything valuable to add. oh, that would be such a different experience than what I actually came in believing. I had to very deliberately choose my beliefs because, hey, this is a module all about beliefs, so you got to practice what you preach, right? I chose to really put on the beliefs. This is going to be so stunningly good. Oh my gosh, people are going to show up. There's going to be a lot of questions. It's going to feel so good to be there after some time that we've spent apart to get back together in this virtual space. There's a huge difference in the ways that I would come across in those two scenarios. So hopefully that gives you something to sink your teeth into about why beliefs are so important. Another thing that I will share, because it's not just my anecdotes or examples, like there has actually been research done on the power of belief. The best book that I personally have read that covers this is called Mind Over Medicine by Lissa Rankin. It's a great book. And she talks about how you might be familiar with the placebo effect. The placebo effect is a great example of how belief works in medicine. If we believe that the treatment we're receiving is going to help us, we are much more likely to actually get the desired result. If we believe that the treatment we're getting is going to help, it's much more likely that we'll get a desirable result. That's the basis of the placebo effect, right? When people receive like sugar pills and they still see improvement, those people believed that they were getting the real thing and that it was going to help. Another really interesting piece of research that is shared in that book is about the belief of the physician. When we perceive the person treating us as believing that we're going to get better, or when our physician actually does believe that we're going to get better, it makes a huge difference in outcomes versus working with a physician who really doesn't believe that it's going to, that you're going to get any better. There's always the small percentage of people that do, like, even if there's a horrible rate of, like a death rate for a disease, that's the word that's coming to mind. Even if there's only one small percentage of people that ever get better, that small percentage does exist. So we want to be working with the physicians and the support team that believes we're going to be in that small percentage, right? There is research that has shown it does make a difference. So this stuff is powerful. It's not just like fluffy magic, though we do magic in here, right? It's beautiful, but it's not just fluffy magic. It is research based, okay? Let's see if I have any other things to share about this before we move forward. Do you guys have any questions? I see that there are a couple of people here and it's making my whole day. I'm so happy to see you. Feel free to leave any questions that you have in the comments. And if you're watching this in the replay, thank you for being here. Same goes to you. Leave any questions that you have in the comments. I'm just going to pause for a second to visit my notes before we move forward. Am I missing anything? I don't think so. Okay, I don't see any questions, so I'm going to forge on. And just know that I'm really inviting you here today to take some power back over this, okay? Because we get to choose deliberately every belief that we hold. We get to choose deliberately every single belief that we hold when we choose to choose, when we choose to be powerful about it, when we choose to take the responsibility for it. It's our choice. So I'm really inviting you to take that power back today a little bit more, because we can always take just a little bit more power back over this. Even I can. I mean, please, I can probably the most out of all of us. That's the way that it works. You teach what you need to learn, I swear. But I invite you to take your power back today and watch how your life changes when you choose beliefs that lift you up and empower you versus beliefs that just are there because you started believing them maybe even before you were born, like we're about to go into. So let's talk a little bit about beliefs and how they form in the first place and why they form, because I think it's really important, okay? And to really cover this thoroughly, we have to go way back before you were even born. Because, again, there is research now proving that it's not only, beliefs aren't only passed down through nurture. There are actually physiological differences in our bodies that are passed down through the evolutionary process. And it's not only genes. It's not only genes. It's not only about the eye color, the way that you look, your physical attributes, and the things that genes contribute to. Research is now actually finding that there are other ways that things are passed down through generations as well, like emotions. They're finding emotions can be passed down through physiological differences in our body's makeup. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? Because this is stuff we've been talking about in an alternative health type of world for a long time, about emotions, beliefs, these light and fluffy things getting passed down over time. We've been talking about it. We've known that it makes a difference, and research is finally starting to catch up and show that there is a biological basis behind that, which I think is so cool. But it makes sense, right? Because our ancestors, they organized information in a certain way as it came in, and it probably was a not very friendly environment. For some of us, it might have been a really unfriendly environment, and others, you know, an unfriendly environment can look like different things to different people, right? Like, all situations have their pros and cons, and this looks different for everyone, which is really what I'm trying to get across. There might be some core foundational beliefs that get passed down to all of us, like I'm not worthy or not enough, are beliefs that I think they're so deeply held in really everyone that I've ever met, that are similar to everyone, but there are a lot more intricate beliefs that are determined by the actual situations that our ancestors were in. So, like, you could, what's a good example of this? Like, I'm sure that there's like slavery seems like a great example to use. Slaves needed to learn certain sets of things to survive, right, in the situations that they were in, to protect their bodies from safety, to, you know, basically float under the radar, or even, you know, I'm sure that they believed lots of different things too, but if they believed that they needed to like keep their opinions to themselves, or like protect their emotions that are vulnerabilities, or like whatever, bring it up a couple of generations, and those beliefs can be passed down through each body. I hope that this is making sense, because I feel like I'm losing my example a little bit, but I hope that you guys get this. It's a totally understandable thing that the beliefs our ancestors had, like, we're human animals that are evolving, right? So a slave needed to learn a certain set of skills to survive, even though the skills that it takes to survive and be successful in this current world are very different. I mean, we could probably argue that, right? There's still slavery happening in our world, very much so. I believe maybe even more so than there used to be. If I'm not mistaken, that's a statistical fact, but I'm basically sharing the point that our ancestors learned how to be in a way that would keep them safe. And then as a human animal evolving, sent those lessons down through the generations so that the future generations could survive too, so that we could continue to be a species, to continue to evolve and get better at surviving, right? It's not necessarily geared towards thriving, which is what we need more of now. And that's what I'm encouraging you to look at and shift, because at the heart of it, beliefs really are formed to keep us safe. They are formed to keep us alive. They're formed to keep us jiving with the people around us, so that we will survive, so that we'll continue to live. I'm hoping that the connection is good for everybody, because I see my screen cracking up a little bit. So if anybody's having trouble seeing me, hearing me, or having trouble with the replay, then please leave it in a comment, okay? Let me know what's up so I can try and troubleshoot, but hopefully there's not a problem. So we're talking about beliefs, how and why they form right now, okay? We've determined that they're quite important. They determine our whole life experience, and they formed to keep us safe. They're passed down through generations in lots of intricate ways, some ways that are common to all of us. There are beliefs like I'm not worthy, I'm not enough, that are common to everyone. And then there are other beliefs like, you know, I need to hide to stay safe, or I need to comply to stay safe, or like whatever. There are all kinds of different beliefs that can be passed down and that we can then learn as well, because beliefs are strengthened through our experiences. So I said that beliefs are how we organize the things that are happening around us, right? Every time we are in a situation, we're watching the situation unfold, we explain why things are happening by figuring out our beliefs, like by seeing how it matches up to what we believe. So whether or not it's true, beliefs are not facts. They're just beliefs. They're not facts. It doesn't really matter, because that's the way that our brain is sorting the information. And every time we sort information according to our beliefs, we strengthen that belief. We say, oh, this is evidence that that belief is true. So the belief gets stronger, whether we're aware of it or not. Most people are not aware of this, okay? So, and I'll attach this to code again. I said that's another good way to think about how beliefs are passed down. I shared earlier that our bodies are like computers. They really are. Our life is like the screen, and our beliefs are a huge part of the code that determines how our body, our computer, is functioning and what is playing, what's showing on the screen. That internal code is something that is not only passed down physically through the evolutionary process, which is what we've covered so far, but the next way that beliefs form is through, indoctrination is the word that's coming to mind. It's a strong word, but being taught. So this is another way that it's really impacted by our families, the families that we belong to. But they had the same beliefs. Like, you can see how it gets kind of muddy and builds on each other. Our parents believe things that they want to teach us because it will keep us safe, right? They're teaching us the beliefs that are true, so that we will have a fair shot in the world, so that we will have a safe run as we go throughout our lives. So not only are they passed down, but they're taught to us by the people around us as well. And depending on how open-minded your family was, which there are a lot of families that are open-minded and some that aren't so much. We need to recognize that there is a very real fear when we are young people about being cast away if we don't fit into the way that things go. So if you even noticed as a child that the beliefs you were being taught didn't really feel that right, there would still be a part of you that would override that, especially as a young child, to keep you safe and protected as a part of your family. You learn to be in that belief system so that you can stay very safe and be part of the group. Because for humans, if you are cast out of the group, that's like a death sentence. And that's how it feels to us often. That's how it feels to us quite often. Like the fear of rejection. Hello, that's basically what that's all about. Something I call tall poppy syndrome. It's when we don't want to shine brighter, when we don't want to grow to be a taller poppy than the poppies around us, because, you know, when the mower comes through, the tall one's the one that's going to get lopped off, right? To get back down and be even with the rest. So just know that that social component is a huge part of this. And then, of course, we form beliefs through our own learning and experience. So those are givens. What we're born with, what we're taught are givens. And even if you think that you reject the beliefs of your family, there's probably a piece of you that fully believes the beliefs that your family held. Just throwing that out there. So if you're hearing this and you're like, yeah, I let go of that stuff a long time ago, that's long gone, I would really encourage you to look deeper, because there might be a piece that needs to be accepted, right? Back into the whole. Like, you can't help this. You are your family. You are born from the family that you have. You were nurtured by the people around you and taught how to be a human. Like, none of us are immune to this. We weren't raised by wolves, but I'm sure even wolves have beliefs, right? That they're subtly teaching through energetics, like nonverbal communication. Maybe they have a language, but going off on a little wormhole here, but just know that nobody is immune to this, okay? This is just something that we deal with. And then as we continue to go through our lives, we'll have experience that, again, are being sorted through our existing beliefs, and we might choose to believe something new based on an experience that we have. So like our first love relationships, I think, are really, really a great example of this. A really, really great example of this, because we start to believe, we like form our expectations and beliefs about relationships based off of that experience. What a relationship is supposed to be, what a relationship is supposed to feel like. how we're supposed to be treated, all of these types of things. I mean, I guess some of those are impacted by family, but through that experience of having a first romantic relationship, it helps us sort and sift and figure out what we can believe about romantic relationships moving forward, which is not usually a good thing. Like, it's important to know, like, almost most beliefs are limits. Most beliefs are just limits, you know, unless we're really deliberately choosing an empowering belief like, my life is expansive. I love that belief. Every time I step into that belief, it feels great. My life is expansive. I am healthy is another belief that really, really is powerful for me, at different points, more so than others, but really choosing to believe that our body wants to be healthy, that our body is working for us to help us improve, okay? Or the same could be said about the earth. So like global warming is a huge issue right now, right? And it causes a lot of frenzy for a lot of people. We can also choose to believe that the earth is regenerating itself from the inside out. That's something that I've started believing, and I do believe that it's true. It's another thing that is supported by events. So like, if you've never checked out crystalline grids, that's a really fun thing to poke around with. Like, the crystals are literally forming in the earth, and anybody who is born after a certain year, it's I'm not explaining this well because I'm not really versed in it, so you should totally Google it if this is interesting to you. But there's a whole school of thought that basically says there's a grid forming in the earth, crystals developing in the earth, and we as humans are kind of programmed along with that grid somehow. There's like a whole school of energy healing that really focuses on that, and I've experienced it. It's a really powerful healing, actually. So you can choose to believe whatever you want is the point that I'm trying to get across here. There are all kinds of ways that we form beliefs. Mostly they're physically passed down to us through our physical makeup, like the ways that our brains function, the ways that the synapses fire, the ways that those synapses trigger different responses in our body. We're just born with that. There are things that we can do to change that. Just so you know, the NLP techniques that I've recently learned about, releasing trapped emotion and changing limiting decisions, are a great example of ways to actually work with reprogramming our brain's synapses to fire off a new response in the body. So just because it's physically passed down to you doesn't mean that there's nothing that you can do about it. And beliefs are nurtured, right? They're taught to us from the people around us, and we choose our own beliefs, especially as we get older and we experience things around us and we interpret what's going on. We choose different types of beliefs that then inform the decisions that we make moving forward, always. I hope this is making sense to you guys. Again, if questions are coming up, or if one of my examples isn't clear, like, I know that the examples I've given, hopefully they're resonating with you guys, but if you need more examples or different examples, or you have a specific question that's coming up, then please leave it in the comments. Whether you're here with me live or watching the replay, please, your questions are very welcome. And this is a tricky, slippery concept to really know. So I'm here for you. Okay. So I think what I would like to do now is, well, first of all, I just told you about the NLP techniques that I used. I would love to share some indicators that are kind of highlighters for like possible limiting beliefs that you have, so that you can start to identify. Then I'm going to walk through the process that I created for you guys about reframing limiting beliefs. It's in your mental wholeness workbook. So we're going to walk through that together, and I'm going to put it in the comments just to make sure that you have it. And I would really like to do a kind of experience, like a meditation of sorts, to help you really shift something meaningfully for you today. So that's what is coming up. Here is the beliefs worksheet, and I'm going to share it with you. This is a great time to be putting any questions in the comments if you have them. I don't see anything, but here is the beliefs worksheet that we're going to be walking through. Okay, so I'm about to go through a list that I got at the training that I recently went through. It's not all inclusive. It's a little bit different. So in NLP, the way that they would likely be having this conversation is around limiting decisions. They believe that a decision precedes a belief. And the reason that I gripe with that a little bit is that, I mean, kind of what we just talked about, that if you're born with the physiological makeup for a certain belief, like you were born with a sorting system that holds a certain belief, like you might not have made that decision. They would probably come back and argue about like somebody before you making that decision, like the ancestor themselves made a decision that led to that belief, or maybe you in a past life. It depends on what you believe, okay? But I just want to go through these so that you can get an idea of what to look for when it comes to limiting beliefs. So I've said before, anything that's like an all or nothing, or you think you only have two choices or one choice, like really extreme perspectives indicate some kind of limiting belief about the choices that you have available to you. Even if it's just that my choices are limited, that's a limiting belief. Do you believe that you have millions of choices available to you in this moment, or do you believe that you only have one choice? That's a good example of shift. So that can indicate a false belief. Anytime that you are feeling stuck in some way in your life, there's probably a limiting belief at play there. It would take a conversation to really figure out and hash out what that belief is, which you know I'm available for. If you can always share things in the group, leave comments with questions, or we can set up time to work together one-on-one to really work through these in a meaningful way. But here are some other ways to identify when a limiting decision is happening, or this is about limiting decisions, but it's connected to beliefs. And if you need any more clarity about how that is, then please feel free to ask. So anything that you can't feel, anything that you can't feel is like a limiting belief or decision. So if you think, I just can't cry, or I will just never feel happy, those are limiting beliefs. They are limiting beliefs. And in NLP, they would say that, when did you decide that? When did you decide that you couldn't cry or that you couldn't be happy? There might be a belief underneath about what it means to cry or what it means to be happy. Okay. Negations are another great example. So like, these are the big ones that impact so many people and that are so easy to notice and shift. They're like, I can't statements. I can't make the money I want doing this. I can't charge that amount for my services. I am not enough. I am not valuable. Negations, like when something that you're limiting that by saying it's not possible, that is a limiting belief. Okay, or limiting decision. So when you're comparing yourself to other people, there can be limiting beliefs at play. So like, I'm not good enough is another one that's coming into mind. It kind of sort of sits in both boxes. Or like, I wish that I could make as much money as that person does. Or let's see, I want to feel better. They have here as a limiting decision, which I think is a interesting thing. So I'm not going to go down that road. But when you are comparing yourself to others, check out the beliefs that are at play behind that. Okay. And so on this list that I'm reading through right now, it actually lists all beliefs as indicative of a limiting decision, any belief at all. Because again, we get to choose. It's like a very deliberate process of choosing our beliefs. And even a belief that we think could be true or helpful, it's still kind of limiting. It can still be limiting. The conversation gets complicated there, so we'll back it up and move forward. So what else can indicate a limiting belief? I don't know. I really think that we've covered some good ones here. The things that are listed here, so it says physiological issues. And I can see how beliefs are at play here, actually. So a great example are like medical conditions that have been passed down through generations. We can believe that we are just meant to be obese because everybody in our family is obese. That's just the way that our genes are, right? So that's just the way that it is. And actually, that belief is a limiting belief. We always have some control over our situation, over our physical bodies even, and we have the power to make meaningful differences. But we have to believe that we can first. We have to believe that we can. So physiological issues are a good indicator, a good place to look if you think, or to see if there are any limiting beliefs in play. So, and accidents are listed here, accidents that you've made in the past. You know, who hasn't made mistakes? We're back to that mistakes and failure are bad kind of thinking, like, or believing that a certain thing makes you less worthy, or believing that making that mistake or having that accident was shameful. Those are beliefs that you get to choose how you're viewing them. And let's see, doubts. Doubts. And I think that this really goes back to the definition that the second definition of belief was having trust, faith, or confidence in someone, right? So if you are believing that a certain person can't give you what you need or isn't capable of XYZ, then that's what you're going to see. That's what they are going to give back to you. Even if they are showing you something different, and if you're not consciously believing that it's possible for them to be different, you're going to sort it right back through those belief filters. It kind of goes back to that research about having a physician that believes in your positive outcome, right? If there are doubts about a situation or a person, then check out your beliefs that you have around that and choose some more empowering ones, okay? So hopefully you guys feel pretty clear about what beliefs are, why they are so important, and how you can identify when they're at play. You know, if you haven't figured this out yet, they're pretty much always in play somewhere. There's always some beliefs that are contributing to the experience that you're having, plain and simple, whether it's in a good way or a bad way. Maybe there is no good and bad, right? But like whatever is happening, beliefs are contributing to the creation of that. We've also talked about why beliefs form and how they form. So hopefully you're feeling clear on that too. They're passed down to us physically through our biological makeup. They're nurtured by the communities and even the friend groups that we surround ourselves with. And then we choose beliefs too, especially as we get older. And older can even mean like, you know, age 5, 6, 7, but it also, as you grow and have more life experiences, you can make more intricate decisions that lead to beliefs about what's possible. So now we're going to talk about shifting them and how you have all kinds of tools at your disposal to shift beliefs when they need to be shifted, okay? First of all, as I mentioned before, the NLP breakthrough services that I've started offering that are only available to you guys, I guess I should say they're only available to people who have access to this mental wholeness group, because I believe it's important to have these skills in place to really make meaningful, long-lasting change through techniques that rewire your brain chemistry and help set you up for the new beliefs that you want, because it's all about the action, and our bodies are still always going to be running on the patterns, the code that they already have. And if we want to choose new beliefs, the way to really sink that into your skin is to choose new actions according to your new beliefs. So, I mean, I guess that's like the best way to shift beliefs in one soundbite is to really embody what it means to hold the different belief and take action from that place. Over time, your body will adjust, and I see that as kind of like a really forceful way to do it. Like, while it is what we do in here, I also like to bring an element of understanding in to why these beliefs formed in the first place. They formed to keep us safe. Like, that is something to be grateful for. Our perceptions that we have, it's kept us alive this long, or else you wouldn't be here. So we can accept these parts of ourselves, not make them wrong or bad, but just say, hey, thank you for keeping me alive so far, first of all. Second of all, we're going to choose some new beliefs that are more suitable for the life that we want to create now. And really helping your body feel safe running that new program is what all of these techniques for shifting beliefs are about. So as I mentioned, the like NLP breakthrough services are very specific, relatively short. It's actually a long service, but relatively short if you think about actually meaningfully changing beliefs in neurology in a matter of hours. You also have this beliefs worksheet that I've shared in the comments, and I would like to walk through that with you now. So if you want to bring up the beliefs worksheet on your computer, you might have it printed off, that's fine. You guys have this so that when I'm not available to you, actively asking you questions to change the belief, you can go back into this and do it as a writing exercise, or, you know, just take yourself through it so that you can, it is still rewiring those brain patterns. It's seeing where the connections were made in the first place and then choosing new ones after hearing out why it is in the first place. So let's go through this worksheet. The first step is to identify and describe a limiting belief. Okay, so a great one that's popping into my mind is, I can't make enough money in this line of work, or I can't make enough money doing what I love. Okay, the first step of this process is to get really clear about what that belief is. Maybe there are some related beliefs. Maybe there's a related belief that, like, what I offer isn't valuable. Or maybe there's another belief that, like, I'm not that special anyway, or, you know, what beliefs are related or swimming around that core central belief of I can't make money doing what I love, or whatever that is. Like, get clear about what that belief is. And another good thing to do at this step is to describe how it's currently impacting your life. How it's currently impacting your life. So usually there are several different areas that your life is being impacted. So let me use this example. I recently met with somebody who had a belief that their loved ones didn't want their feedback, like didn't respect their professional guidance about their health issues. And this person is a health professional. So it's very frustrating for that person that their most important people are unhealthy and unwilling to listen to the guidance being offered. When we dig deeper, that is also impacting that person's business, because there's this subtle belief running under, and, you know, we would have to get together and like really get clear about what beliefs are actually at play in that, which we have not yet done. But for instance, it could be like, people don't respect me. People don't respect my guidance. People don't want my guidance. There are all kinds of beliefs that could be at play there. And do you see how that could impact that person's business? Even though the place that they're really feeling it is at home with their loved ones, it's still subtly impacting other areas of their lives too. So really getting clear about the beliefs that you have that are limiting you, and kind of clearing up about what the surrounding beliefs are and where it's impacting your life. That's the first step. And so then I ask, have you experienced anything like this before? When's the first time you remember feeling this way? This step is really asking you to go back as far as possible to see when the first time you consciously made that connection, when you first consciously said, people don't value my guidance, or when you first had that thought, I won't be able to make money doing this. Like maybe you wanted to be a professional artist and everybody told you, oh, you can't make money being an artist, you better go do something else instead so that you can then still do your art on the side, or whatever the heck that it is. People say stuff like that all the time, especially to those of us in creative fields, right? Or people could have told you that it's too hard to make money that way, or like whatever. Identify, go back as far as you can and think about, when was the first time that you really remember believing that clearly, where it really clicked for you? Go back and think about that, okay? That's the second step. The next step is to really connect with your physical body about this, okay? So the first step was identify the beliefs, the surrounding beliefs, and how it's impacting your life. The second step is to think back and say, when was the first time that I really believe this? When did this click for me? Have I felt this way before, and when was it? Like, trace it back. This third step is to get into your body, okay? To really get into your body and think about, how did that feel? What was the physical sensation connected to that? What emotion was brought up by that? Like, maybe I was sad and disappointed that people thought I wasn't going to be able to make a living doing what I wanted to do. Maybe I was I grieved over the loss of not being able to do what I loved. You know, what did I learn about the world in that moment? Maybe I learned that the world is an unfair place. That's limiting belief. What decisions were made after that? What did I decide to do then? Maybe I decided that I was always going to work hard in a respectable 9-to-5 job so that I would always have what I needed to be able to fuel that creative passion on the side. Whatever. There are all kinds of things, but really sink it into your body and notice what you learned, how you learned to relate to the world as a result of this belief. Okay? The next step is all about finding new interpretations. And this is the most important and the most challenging step. It can be very, very, very helpful to have outside help when you're finding different ways to interpret those past events. So going along with our current example, you would want to find, and I'll say that quantity is what's important here. Usually you'll find me saying quality over quantity. I love quality, right? But here, quantity is important. I want you to see how many possibilities actually exist to explain that event that led to you believing this thing. So if we're talking about the professional example of, I can't make money doing what I love to do, okay? You traced it all the way back to, oh my God, I was 3 and I was listening to my parents talk in the kitchen about my mom's brother who was an artist, and he was asking to borrow money because he couldn't make it work or whatever. And I heard my parents talking about how it's just impossible to make a living that way, and he would have to get a 9-to-5 job. So if you go back to that time, I would want you to really think about what are some other explanations for that situation that have nothing to do with it inherently it being impossible to make money as an artist. Maybe there was some extenuating circumstance. Maybe there was some big surprise expense that fell on your uncle, and that's why he was asking for money. Maybe your uncle was also an addict and went through money and didn't really take the best care of himself, and that was making it hard for him to be successful. Maybe he was wildly successful as an artist and your parents were just a little bit too hard on him. Maybe he wasn't that great of an artist. Maybe he was misguided or hadn't found his passion yet. You know, really looking at the wide scope of possibilities for how you could have explained that at the time, but it wasn't available to you then, so that you can start to see that there are different possibilities of what you can believe that aren't this limiting belief. And I'm going to pause because I see a question from Amanda. Amanda says, the hardest part I usually have is the remembering. I think I just get caught up in reaching for the first memory where the belief started, and then I feel like I can't remember it at all. By reaching so hard, maybe I'm pushing it farther away. I think if that's what you are feeling, then I totally respect the way that you feel about this, Amanda, because you're very aware of yourself. It could be a little bit of like a striving and pushing it away. Totally. What I would do if I were you is to make sure that you're like breathing and relaxing into it, and just instead of searching, which this is a good distinction to make because I don't think I made this before, which is why I love questions. Thank you so much for asking your question. Instead of striving to search for the first experience, let it just bubble up. Like, allow the memories to come to you. Hold on, Cronus. Lay down. He's freaking snorting around over here. He's like the loudest dog in the world. Instead of striving for the memories, see if you can just breathe and relax and ask your unconscious mind. Amanda and I have talked extensively about the unconscious mind, especially during her breakthrough that we had recently. Ask your unconscious mind to bring up whatever memory is ready to come to the surface. Because you might find that if you practice this, and you might have to do this practice multiple times with the same belief to really shift it. So you might come to a different event each time. I hope that that's helping. Give me some kind of inclination is that if I'm answering your question or not. I feel like there was one other thing I was going to say about that. Poor Cronus. I told him to stop making noises, and then I'm sitting here making noises. So, yeah, I would say, Amanda, ask your unconscious mind to allow whatever memory. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. Allow your unconscious mind to bring back whatever memory that's related to this is ready to surface. Just ask it to let it bubble up. Instead of searching, just like relax, breathe, and let whatever memory wants to come. And I'll also say that the embodiment piece, I believe, is what's most important here. Finding a memory that you can remember the feeling of that realization, getting your body involved and feeling it is really the most important thing. So even if it's not the first event that ever happened, if you get into a place of the feeling of it and shifting from that place, it's going to bring you in the right direction. And I saw some love, so hopefully that got it. Feel free to ask more questions if you want more clarification. So I'll revisit. The first step of this process is identify and describe the limiting belief. What's the belief? What are the beliefs floating around it that you can see? What ways is this impacting your life? The second is, have you experienced anything like this before? When's the first time you remember feeling this way? And this is what Amanda and I were just talking about. So really revisiting the different times in your life that have contributed to the strengthening of this belief. Okay. The third step is about connecting to the emotion that the situation brings up for you, connecting to what you learned about the world, connecting to the decisions that you made as a result, connecting to the ways that you learn to protect yourself in the world as a result of this belief. Okay. And then the fourth step is about finding other ways to interpret those early events. You don't have to find the explanation, and I don't expect you to find the actual explanation, okay? The goal here is to expand your possibilities, expand what your brain thinks is possible for ways to explain that situation. Because let me tell you guys, we can spend all of our time analyzing and sorting every situation that comes up, and chances are we are never going to get to the real bottom of what actually created that event. Because even when we get there, we can probably take it deeper. So it's not about finding the right explanation, even though you might find one that fits better than what you decided before. It's about realizing how many possibilities there really are in this world and expanding your belief about what's possible. So quantity over quality in that step, okay? So then, after you've done that, I want you to pick one of the new interpretations that really feels best for you. Can you find any evidence in your life that supports that new interpretation? So you're going back and you are trying to reframe the belief about being able to make money in your desired passion work, right? In your creative, passionate work. And you traced it back to that time when you were 3 and you were sitting in the kitchen and your parents were talking about your artistic uncle who was asking for money again. And oh my gosh, doesn't he know that you can just never make money as an artist, right? And you as a child were like, oh, I can never make money as an artist. And now you've looked at different ways to explain that. You've looked at, oh, well, maybe back then it was really different and you couldn't make money as an artist then, which I don't really believe. But maybe that's it. Maybe your uncle had other habits that were imposing on his ability to make money as an artist. Maybe that belief that they had as a family was really what was getting in his way, because he believed that he couldn't make money as an artist, right? So figure out, maybe he just needed more open understanding and support, and maybe that was what he deserved, right? So find the interpretation that really feels best for you and try it on. Try it on. Try it on. Figure out, and again, the physical feeling that's connected is the most important thing. The physical feeling that's connected is the most important thing here. You were connected before to what it felt like when you knew that belief was true, when you believed that for the first time. And now we're looking for the interpretation that feels better for you so that you can move forward with that. I see that Chris has a question or comment, so let's visit this. Kirsten, I experience this all the time. People don't believe you can be wealthy and successful and be a hairstylist. They don't picture hairdressing as a career because it doesn't fit the mold they have in their head. Or when we tell people that we are opening our own salon, they have the attitude of, oh, that's cute. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm so happy that you guys are here, because anytime you need believers, ayo, I believe in you guys. And I'll say too, I totally believe you. And it's hard when you're getting that from every angle to still stand strong in the belief that, no, I can be successful doing this. I can make the money I want doing this. And actually, you telling me that I can't is just making it harder. So I'm going to choose not to listen to you. It can be challenging to do that because we feel like we're not facing reality. And what I'm telling you is like, screw reality, because there are as many different people in the world. There are that many different realities. So you get to choose. And I love what you guys are doing. I absolutely love the vision of the salon that you will open. And I'll also say, I think that we're all business owners. Most of us are business owners in here, and maybe not, but especially if people are watching this in the replay and they don't own businesses, that's fine. But there is a subtle, how do I say this? There's like a belief in the wide world about being a business owner. It kind of like breaks the mold of people's beliefs and what they believe needs to happen. So like people will argue all day to preserve their beliefs. We're not those kind of people, because you wouldn't be in here learning about this if you were like rigidly stuck to the way that you individually believe things. Like, we're open-minded folks in here, and we're interested in, you know, change and thriving and doing amazing things with our lives. But a lot of people are happy to stay in that the cage of the beliefs that they've been given and taught. You know, they're not really interested in changing that. So when we take actions that challenge what they believe is possible, it's actually really common to get feedback and resistance from other people. Like, God bless them, some of the people who love you the most will want you to fail the most, because it makes their beliefs right. Like, it validates them, which is not an easy thing to navigate through. But I guess I'm just trying to say that thank you for your comment. I see you guys, and don't listen to the naysayers. I believe in you. I believe in you so much. I'm so happy you guys are here. Okay, so we're almost to the most crucial part, and let me just revisit the steps of this worksheet we've already walked through again. So we've identified and described the limiting belief. What are the surrounding beliefs? Where is this impacting your life? Then, have you experienced anything like this before? Trace it back. When's the first time you remember feeling this, making this connection? 3 is to connect physically to your body and figure out what type of emotion does this bring up? Where do you feel it in your body? What did you learn about the world during that epiphany moment where this belief sank in? How did you decide to protect yourself moving forward? Then the 4th step is about looking at other possible interpretations that you didn't see in that moment, but that now you can see what happened that don't necessarily mean the limiting belief is true. There are actually explanations that could directly contradict that belief. And so the 5th step is about picking which interpretation feels best for you, then finding evidence in your life to support the new interpretation. So let's go with the example Chris just brought up to us, which is finding a new interpretation that feels good. You can certainly just believe it's totally possible to have a successful salon, and look at people who have made great money owning salons or being professional hairstylists, you know, looking to find the evidence for that new interpretation so that you can start paving the path for the new belief rather than the old one. So our beliefs are like the ones that we've held for a really, really, really long time. They're like information superhighways, right? Like they're friggin' 6 lanes and traffic is just flowing through them. Like the sensory input comes in and it travels down the highway and your body has its reaction and it's all good, or not. But these new beliefs, it's almost like we're walking a path off of that information superhighway into the woods that's like not been traveled before. So it takes intentional strengthening of that belief and repetition. It takes looking for evidence that strengthens that new belief rather than looking for the evidence that supports the superhighway that already exists. It's a persistent practice. And that's where the real change is made. And the next step is, again, continuing that path of strengthening the new belief. Is what are some ways that you can start living differently right now, led by this belief? What are some ways that you can start living differently? Like, what actions can you take that are a different, what actions can you take that are guided by this new belief? So, for instance, this is like a super simplified example, but the person who believes I can't make a living off of my art, or I can't make a living doing what I love, what action would you take if you knew you could make the money that you want doing what you love? Maybe you would leave your 9-to-5 job, or maybe you would at least start heading in that direction, like saving up some money, doing what you need to do to really follow that dream, if you now believe that it's possible, right? So let's just say, Chris, that you were believing those people before who said that you couldn't open a successful salon or whatever, and now you've chosen to believe, no, I can be successful opening a new salon. This final step is all about noticing what new actions you can take from a place of the belief that you want, from a place of the belief that you're looking to strengthen. And so that is the entirety of the exercise that is in that worksheet. So hopefully it's a little bit clearer now about how you guys can go about using that worksheet. I think it's hilarious because I wanted this to be a shorter module than the past modules have been, and it looks like it's going to be just the same length. So all of the modules, when I refilm them, are going to be shorter. I can already look back and see where I rambled in my examples that will cut down and make more clear. But thank you for being here for this whole time. And if you're watching the replay, thank you for spending your time here with us. It's so amazing, and it's such an honor to be supporting all of you. I love it. And so really quickly, before I let you go, I would just love to help you connect to a new belief that you want. So take some deep breaths and really get connected to your body. I wonder, and please feel free to put this in the comments too, have you identified any limiting beliefs today through our time together? Have you identified any beliefs that have been keeping you stuck? Or maybe you've identified a new belief that you would like to bring with you into your day. Please share, because I would love to hear a really beautiful belief to bring forward, if you don't have one specifically that you're working on, is about worthiness. I am worthy. I am worthy. And I want you to just take a few deep breaths, really connect with your body. So maybe you do some hip circles in your seat. Maybe you can massage your feet to your toes, or some part of your body, like touch your legs, really get into your physical experience and keep breathing, taking deep breaths. And now I want you to repeat to yourself the new belief that you would like to leave here with today. So the one I've suggested, if nothing's coming to mind, is I am worthy. I am worthy. And just repeat it to yourself over and over and over again. And if you're in a place where you can, say it out loud. Say it out loud. I am worthy. I am worthy. And I want you to notice what is coming up in your body as you repeat this belief to yourself. One of two things is probably happening. Either you're noticing where it doesn't feel true in your body, which is okay. Just keep breathing. I am worthy. I am worthy. Keep breathing. And now, if it does feel true, that's great. If it doesn't, I want you to imagine what you think it would feel like if it were true. What would it feel like if it were true? I want you to really connect to I am worthy, or whatever belief it is that you're trying on today. Breathe deep and see if you can find a place in your body that resonates with that connects with that belief. And what is it like? Is it a lightness? Is it a light? Is it a certain shape or color? What place in your body do you really feel the truth of that statement? Or what place in your body do you imagine you would feel the truth of that statement if it were true? Just take a few more deep breaths and really repeat and connect with I am worthy. I am worthy. Amazing. Amazing. And know that you can always reconnect with that sensation in your body when you need to remember that belief. Okay? Always know that you can connect with your body when you need to strengthen that belief. It's a beautiful thing. And also know that if something came up that directly contradicts that belief, like you really felt a not truth about the belief that you want, that is normal, totally normal, and you have tools now to work through that. Okay, I would encourage you to go through the belief shifting exercise that we just went through. Emotional alchemy is another really great tool here, because again, the physiological aspect of these beliefs is that like the synapses in our brain are firing off according to these limiting beliefs, and they create a response in our body. So if there's an emotional response that's still in your body that's contradicting the belief that you're trying on, that you want to move forward with, that's normal. Like, it is going to contradict. It is going to contradict. Like, you physically are feeling like that's not true. So you can take that sensation through any of the multiple processes that I've outlined for you, the how to interpret bodily sensations, the emotional alchemy process, and now you have this beliefs process as well, and really work with it with some understanding as you work to shift that old limiting belief into a new one. And as you work to hear yourself out as to why you've taken on these beliefs, how they've protected you in the past, like really give gratitude to yourself, because we are amazing human animals, the machines that we are. Like, it's really fantastic. I think that's all I have for you guys today on belief. So if you have any questions, now is the time. And of course, if you're here with me live, now is the time. We'll be wrapping up in a minute. If you're watching the replay, again, thank you so much for being here. You can please feel free to also leave your comments in the on the side here. Put a question in the comments. I will get back to you. If you are watching the replay, I recommend that you tag me in your questions so that you can make sure that I will see them. Yeah, so I will just wait for another moment or two before I wrap up. Thank you guys so much for being with me here today, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your week. I'm always here for you. If there's anything I can do to help make this content real for you, whether it be about this beliefs information or any of the other mental wholeness modules, you've got me. I'm here, and I really, really, really want you to be successful in this. I know that you are already, and you will continue to be. And no questions are coming up, so I am gonna sign off. I love you all so much, and we will talk again soon. Take care.